Okay, question number 4 is so cool and so related to your life because it's talking about a high school soccer team. You might not play soccer, but you know that Vikings have like the best soccer team around. We're talking about Colorado. We're talking about all this stuff related to your lives. So we have a high school soccer team is going to Brighton to see a professional soccer game. A coordinate grid is superimposed on a highway map of Colorado. Now, if you weren't given the images that are on this screen, okay, what you're imagining superimposed on a highway map means this coordinate grid, we're just putting, oops, that's supposed to go on top of this map, okay? So if this grid is going on top of this map, we're going to be able to talk about the city of Denver in terms of coordinates. So instead of saying, oh, like Glendale is down here, we could say Glendale is at the coordinates 4, -6, for example. So we have a high school soccer team going to Brighton. The high school is at point 3,4. So if we had a coordinate grid, we would say the high school is at this point right here. And the stadium in Brighton is at point 7, 1. Oops, did I do that right? No, 7 is my x direction. Y is here. So we're traveling from here, the high school, to here, Brighton. The map shows a highway rest stop halfway between these cities. What are the coordinates of the rest stop? And what is the approximate distance between the high school and the stadium? So 2 things I'm being asked to find. Number 1, the distance between these 2 points. And number 2, the midpoint of these 2 points. That's where the rest stop is. So I'm going to clear this stuff. We're not given that coordinate grid. So what do? Well, we can use the distance formula to find the distance between 2 points on a grid. So if these are my points, I'm going to start by giving them x and y. And I'm going to call this point 1 and this point 2. Doesn't matter which one. Now I'm just going to plug these values into the distance formula. The difference between my x values, x2 minus x1 is 7 minus 3 squared, plus the distance between my y values. That's the second number on each point. y2 minus y1 squared. Simplify. 7 minus 3 is 4 squared. 1 minus 4 is -3, and we're squaring -3. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. -3 squared is the same as -3 times -3. 3 times 3 is 9. Negative times a negative is a positive. So we're left with 16 plus 9, which is the square root of 25. The distance between these 2 points is 5 units. So the first part of my question is asking me what's the distance between these points, but 5, that's not like a real world term or number or unit. Oh, I look here and I see that 1 unit is 6.4 miles. So I'm going to take this distance of 5 units and I'm going to multiply that by 6.4 miles. And I'm told that 6.4 times 5, I think it's going to be 32. Yeah, 32.5 miles is the distance between the high school and the stadium. Okay, so part 1, 32.5 miles is the distance between the high school and the stadium. Now, the second part of the question asks us to find the coordinates of the rest stop. Coordinate. Oh, coordinate is an x, y notation. And the rest stop is halfway between the cities. So if I have, oh, it shouldn't say cities, it should say, oh yeah, the high school, the city where the high school is, and the city of Brighton. Okay, so I have my high school at 3,4. The stadium is at 0.71. Okay, so this is stadium. This is the high school. I want to find the distance exactly, or not the distance, I want to find the coordinate that labels the point exactly halfway between those 2 cities. Now the midpoint formula simply tells us to add the x values, so x1 plus x2, and divide them by 2. That will give us our x coordinate, and then we're going to take the y values and add them together, divide by 2. So we're taking the average of each of those, or if you were to graph this and you had like 0.3, 4, 0.7, 1, you would find that the middle, so if this is the midpoint, like the x value is halfway between these two x coordinates. So if this is 3 and this is 7, so this 3 came from the high school, this 7 came from the stadium, we want to find this point right here. You might be able to tell from looking at a picture that that's going to be 5, but let's double check with our formula. 3 plus 7, I'm adding the two x values, divided by 2. Oh my gosh, 3 plus 7 is 10, divided by 2 equals 5. Now what about the y values? Again, if these points are plotted and my y value of the high school is 4 and my y value of the stadium is 1, I want to find what is the y value. What is this point right here that's halfway between those y's? A little trickier maybe for this one. So let's plug our y's into the equation. 4 plus 1 divided by 2 equals 5 divided by 2, which equals 2.5. So the point halfway between the high school and the stadium is at the location 5, 2.5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the x direction, 2.5 in the y direction. That's why it was kind of tricky to figure out that value just by looking at the graph, because it was a like half, 2.5 point. So 2 answers. 32.5 miles is the distance between the high school and the city, and the coordinate 5, 2.5 is the midpoint, or the coordinates of the rest stop. So about an hour into the drive to Brighton, the soccer team decided that they wanted to get some Gatorade, some granola bars, and they took a rest at a place exactly halfway between the cities. Cool, good work.